Okay, welcome to this week's Street Talk, everybody. God, that was a bit of a slog this week. Did anybody else think that was a bit of a slog? I don't know what really happened. I don't know whether I was in a funny mood watching it this week, but I was just like, yeah, it didn't do it for me. Didn't get my motor running. What about you?
I don't think so.
We just had, just during that little musical interlude you just heard, I was like, right, which storyline do you want to do the synopsis of this week? You're like, I don't care. They're all boring.
I don't really remember them.
No, it was like, it was the come down from the wedding last week, wasn't it? More Maria stuff. But let's run down. So I'm calling the Tyrone and Fiz storyline Ty Bride. Because it's Tyrone and the bride. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yes, it's...
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Stalker storyline. Not there's something about Maria, but there's someone about Maria. Who is this someone who is about Maria? I think it's Jimmy, but it could be someone else.
Has he been in it before?
Who? Jimmy?
Next.
Love, Death and Robots is going to be our third storyline, followed by a little bit more of the Timperton story. And next we have got Electrocute Ed.
That's bad.
Electrocute Ed. Yeah. Then we had a bit more of the Wendy House story.
I just had a flash
and
of like...
the Bee Doll. It's not a great week this week.
You know how you are such a very altruistic person because you're a teacher?
Yes, I love to do
So I can only imagine that if you
community.
weren't a teacher, you might be something else altruistic, like a nurse. But I can also imagine if you were a nurse, telling your patients puns based on their ailments and their names and going, I've got a great one for that bloke in there who got electrocuted at the hotel. Can I tell him? No.
The Gemma laughter is the best medicine.
Do you think so?
Yeah, definitely. And there's one thing that I know about my puns is that everybody rolling in the streets about it because they're so amazing. Okay, right.
Yeah, who's going to get the short straw, which is doing any of this?
Oh... I don't know what it was. You have your ups and your downs in the week.
It wasn't that bad.
It had its high points and it had its tie points, and that's what we're going to be starting off with.
Nice.
So Tyrone, Ty Bride, I'm going to do this one. So this is the aftermath of the wedding last week where Fiz snuck off from the... Well, she didn't snuck off really. She made a dramatic exit from the reception on Friday, didn't she? To go and snog the face off Tyrone in the middle of the street, which nobody actually saw. That was a bit of a surprise to me, the fact that they were actually able to keep this a secret, because they were being very brazen about their tonsil tennis at the end of last week's episodes, weren't they? But I guess nobody was looking at that point. I'm surprised that, Sally hasn't got a Ring doorbell of her own, because, Steve's had one for a good few months now. She's got to keep up with the McDonald's, hasn't she? But for whatever reason, nobody saw this.
I honestly think that there is a lot of mileage, if anyone's listening from Corrie, for a Steve versus Sally Ring doorbell battle.
Well, yeah.
Where they both outdo each other for noticing things that have happened.
I mean, it's perfect for Sally. She's a total curtain twitcher, isn't she?
Yeah.
Ina Sharples would have had a Ring doorbell if they'd have them 60 years ago. She wouldn't have had to have looked through the curtains or anything. She'd just sit there on her phone. I
mean, it writes itself, doesn't it? You can just imagine her sitting out having a drink with Tim at the bistro, looking at her phone going, oh my goodness, you will not believe that Aggie's just gone outside in her pyjamas to take the bins out.
We've not had Norris. I mean, he's obviously gone now.
He's dead.
R.I.P. He's not been on the show for what, 3-4 years as a regular. And Ring doorbells were still just about a thing then, weren't they? But that would have been just up his street, wouldn't it?
He would have loved it.
Absolutely gone nana for a Ring doorbell. But anyway, that's nothing to do with this storyline, because Monday Tyrone and Fiz are sneaking about in number 9. Fiz has got apparently no regrets about what she did, cruelly leaving Phill at the altar. Well, she says that, I've been a bit cruel to him, but I think she thinks she's definitely made the right decision. You can't... It's not jilting, is it? Is it jilting if you leave them at the reception?
I tell you what, does it go jilt and then spurn? Or is it spurn and then jilt?
I don't know, but if it is jilting, then it'd have 2 L's. For this particular storyline. What was the thing that somebody said, guess what I've seen in the Rovers? Give you a clue, 2 L's.
I love that.
That is a Corrie writer's joke,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, I know, yeah, you can
because
tell.
They call him
to
Phill
make
with
themselves
2 L's.
chuckle.
Anyway.
The irony of somebody being Fiz with 1 Z.
I know, Fiz with 1 Z, Phill with 2 L's. It doesn't make sense, does it? They haven't got the double consonants right.
I can imagine Evelyn writing her Christmas cards and going, I think they're special with their spelling.
What have I come to? Yeah, even she gets called Evelyn a few times this week, didn't
By
she? I think
Addy/Ardy.
Yeah, I think Ardy got corrected by calling her Evelyn, but then I think was it Tim called her Evelyn earlier on in the week and nobody said anything. Oh, you know that.
But
gets
then he called her Evelyn, and then Callie said it's Evelyn, and he said sorry Evelyn. But then to her face later, Ardy said Evelyn.
I don't know. Anyway, Evelyn/Evelyn isn't kept in the dark for too long about the Tyrone and Fiz reunion, because she comes downstairs, catches them with a face full of tongue, and is like, "Mind me, what's going on here then?"
That's
so they all have a
disgusting.
sit down. Evelyn can't keep up with their shenanigans, she says, and Fiz says, "I don't know what to do." Evelyn knows now. What do we do? Do we tell Phill about this? And she realises that they can get an annulment because they didn't consummate their union from Friday. So
I just
great.
think that's a really bizarre.
It feels a bit archaic, doesn't it?
It really doesn't feel like it's like at this point in this era of modern society where you're not being forced by your dad because you got.
It is a bit just like brings me back in mind of the bedding ceremony from Game of Thrones, doesn't it?
Well, that's based on real life.
I know.
Because back in medieval times, they're like,
Check the sheets.
Don't know where that baby came from. Could have come from anyone.
But anyway, she can get an annulment. But then Phill knocks on the door. Tyrone escapes out the back, and Phil's just like, let's just forget it. You did, I know, you didn't mean to leave me on Friday, did you? You were just getting all bit caught up in the moment and everything. Let's act like it hasn't happened, get back to normal. He's just wittering on there
I'll
and
marry
just to
him.
stop him. I think lots of people would marry Phill at the moment.
Would you marry Phill?
I wouldn't. But I think that he's getting an awful lot of sympathy from the social media crowd, from the Corrie viewers.
He's far superior to Tyrone in almost every way.
He was, but they've really done a number on him this week, I think.
Are you kidding me?
I think they're making him look a bit sad and pathetic this week.
Michael, you should see how sad and pathetic you get when I'm mad at you for washing rice down the drain.
That never happens.
If this was in comparison, I can't imagine what you'd be like.
Sorry, Gemma, sorry.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, he hasn't done anything wrong.
No, he hasn't done anything wrong. But
He's
he's
done
acting
nothing
like
wrong.
he's acting like he has.
He shouldn't be grovelling. He should be going, "Get home, wench."
I am home, Phill.
Get home, get to the house and start washing up. That's why I got married you. That's what I've got a wife for. I'm a rich landowner.
Yeah,
You should be lucky.
Get down that road to Cardiff.
Yeah, come on. We've got a 5-hour journey.
Make me some Welsh rarebit. Wendy Crozier's got an excellent recipe for it.
I know.
So he witters on.
She does now.
She does now. He's wittering on, and she has to stop him, and she says, "Phill, I need an annulment. Sorry, I've made my decision."
No,
and
Fiz, you stupid
he's
woman.
like, "Please tell me it's nothing to do
I
with
could have
Tyrone."
used this money for my roof.
I know. I wonder how much they spent on that wedding.
There was a lighted tree inside a barn.
I think I read on the internet the other day that place where they filmed the wedding was where Kath Tilsley actually got married IRL.
How much is it?
That's some trivia. I don't know.
I'm going to look
Let's
this
ask
up.
her.
I'm very excited.
Anyway, she says, look, it's nothing to do with Tyrone, honestly. Because he's kind of saying, yeah, you better not have got back to Tyrone because, I'm already kind of feeling a bit down at the moment. And if I found out that you were going out with him, well, I'd do anything that I could to stop you. Not as a threat, but just being a bit sorry for himself, really. So she's like, no, it's not Tyrone at all. And so he's like, right, come to lunch with me and we'll sort this out. I'll try and, talk you around. So he bogs off again. Tyrone comes back to number 9 and Phil's talking to him about how excruciating the whole conversation was. So they agree that they're going to keep their relationship under wraps until the annulment is through. And then I guess they'll have a big, whoa, we're together ceremony. And this plot is a bit done before in soaps, I suppose. People having their secret relationships. But it's okay, I suppose. Anyway, Tyrone goes into the shop later and says, well, Evelyn, I'm scrubbed up nicely here because I'm going to be taking Fiz out on a date later. Date later. And Evelyn says, look, you've had a very lucky break. You better not go chasing any other women after what happened last time. You keep hold of Fiz, Milado. So, Before her date with Tyrone, Fiz has got to go to the bistro with Phill, and he's dressed up in a suit, he's got a rose in his mouth. Then this mariachi band comes striding out of the back and starts...
Oh, another Kath Tilsley link.
It is, isn't it? Good point.
You need to explain it.
The Sexy Mexi, wasn't it? When she was proposing to Aidan Connor, she got the mariachi band and paraded down the street to Arriba him into marrying her. So anyway, yeah, they start singing along to "We've Only Just Begun," and Phill takes the rose out of his mouth, gives it to her. It's very sweet, and Fiz, poor thing, just doesn't know what to do with herself because she just wants a sinkhole to open up underneath her again. So the meal carries on, and there's kind of fun, and there's the music gets a little bit more upbeat. They do the whole fast zoom out to them. It's kind of fun stuff. Fiz is absolutely mortified. Debbie is loving it though. This is the most exciting thing that's ever happened in the bistro to Debbie. I think that she's gonna maybe start up some Mexican theme nights or something now. Anyway, eventually, Fiz tells Phill. Are you still trying to find out about Catherine Tilsley's wedding?
I'm not. No, I'm finding out about Fiz and Phil's wedding.
Oh, okay, fine.
I love the name of the place. The name of the place.
Yeah.
Is Coleshaw Hill.
Colson Smith.
Coleshaw Hill.
Yeah.
Which sounds like Coldslaw Hill.
It does a bit.
And the most expensive package they do is £16,250, which is a Saturday. When did they get married? Friday. So yeah, Friday. So that's £14,450. And this is exclusive access to all facilities, excluding the lodges.
Well, they didn't even have the reception there, so they probably did it on the cheap.
Well, yeah, the civil ceremony room is £950.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we up to? And eventually, Fiz tells Phill that this might have been an unexpected treat, but nothing is going to change. I still want to have an annulment, and Phill will not take no for an answer. He is absolutely determined that he can charm Fiz round.
He just loves her. It's pure and beautiful. It's not like Tyrone and Fiz's dirty little sneaking around like a pair of ferrets.
Ferrets, that was it Barry the Ferret, the dancing ferret from 1967 Weatherfield Recorder. Anyway, he says, look, just give me 2 weeks, and if you still feel the same way, then fine, I'll pay for the annulment myself. Which
How much is it?
Put me in mind of Les Dennis on the Family Fortunes. If it's on the board, I'll give you the money myself. So Les Dennis quote, Michael Radwell, is a link. Anyway, back at home, Tyrone brings Fiz a big bunch of flowers.
I've got another great Michael Rodwell quote.
What?
Would you like a flake with that? Very relevant to today's...
It was. Anyway, yeah, she wants to postpone their date. She says, look, I've just been on this awkward meal with Phill. I'm on a bit of a downer now, actually. But look, all we need to do is wait 2 weeks.
Makes me feel sad.
2 weeks, and then it could all be over.
She's just as bad as he is, as far as I'm concerned. They could both die in a ditch.
Oh, no, I love them
They're
both.
the worst couple on Coronation Street.
Get to the discussion point at the end,
Set them
Gemma.
on fire.
Tyrone comes round into the Rovers, and Phil's there, drowning in his sorrows. Ty's got to act all surprised when Phill tells him what's happened and about the 2 weeks and everything. And he says to Tyrone, can you just big me up to Fiz a little bit, try and convince her to take me back?
He's so innocent.
I
He
know.
thinks he's got friends, but he doesn't.
He's got no friends.
Vipers.
He's got that one guy that turned up to the wedding, the person that was on the
made himself
defence.
scarce, hasn't he?
I know, it's like,
Jesus.
why doesn't Phill take his mate on the mini-moon? I know he doesn't have maybe the same sort of bromance with him as he does with Tyrone. But... Oh yeah, must have done. So anyway, Tyrone goes back home again to tell Fiz what's happened, and isn't this very awkward? But anyway, it's only awkward for a little bit because before long she's tempted him upstairs for a quickie. Back in the pub later, post bonking, Tyrone tells Phill that he's been talking to Fiz about what a great guy he is. Phill wants a blow-by-blow account of this. And that's all we see.
He can't, because he doesn't know.
He's
lying.
He is lying. Later on, Fiz fills Evelyn in about the whole 2 week malarkey, and she says, I think your scheme sounds nuts, to be honest with you. Meanwhile, at the Rovers, Phill is totally bladdered by this point, saying how great a friend Tyrone is, and he raises a toast to getting Fiz back to where she belongs. In my kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Tight oven. Tyrone and Fiz on Wednesday get caught out by Hope and Ruby. It's like they're having every episode somebody new finds out about them. because they'd heard Tyrone snoring last night, which is kind of funny. And they have to tell them that they're back together. But girls, you got to keep this a secret. Especially Phill can't know. And because Fiz says, I want to be the one that tells him, so you need to keep quiet about it. So they kind of go along with that.
Oh, I can't wait to tell him. Let me do it.
Tyrone suggests to Fiz that they go to couples therapy later for an MOT.
I like this bit because Tyrone says to Fiz, listen, I've been thinking, and Fiz gets this horrified look on her face. Like, this is not your strong suit. You really should not be dabbling in the thought process of anything.
Snape, I'm afraid I've been thinking.
Dangerous pastor.
I know. Fiz goes off. Tyrone gets a phone call from Phill. He needs help from Tyrone. And also George, because Tyrone gets a phone call. George is involved in this in some reason. George Shuttleworth.
You're waving your hands around very dangerously.
Don't be very dramatic.
You're going to spill tea everywhere.
Over my legs. I did that the other day at school.
What, you waved your hands around?
No, I spilled tea all over my trousers in the middle of a lesson. Very embarrassing. Anyway, but it helped because it was a science lesson about properties and materials, and I could talk to them about my trousers not being permeable.
Michael, don't talk to children about your wet trousers.
Please. And what happened? Tyrone and George have been roped in to help Phill with his Operation Love Bomb. What happened to Operation Frankincense? That's what I want to know.
I like...
They've given up... Or Incense Frank it was, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
What happened with that? Later on, Phil's whole...
I think they need to be careful because I'm pretty sure that Operation Love Bomb is going to end with real incendiary devices.
Do you
way
think?
this is going. Once he finds out they've been behind his back.
Do you reckon? Has he got a bit of a dark side?
Well, I think I should bloody well hope so. You wait till Mimi finds out.
Oh, are you
She's going to throw cocoa at them. And then she's going to savage their face off.
Phil's literally been dumped on his wedding day. And
By
the
everyone.
only two guests, this best man and his mum, have all just abandoned him. Like, you're pathetic, Phill. I don't want to be seen hanging around with you.
Yeah. Sad.
So his next scheme to get himself won back into the heart of dear Fiona is to do the whole holding a ghetto blaster outside the factory, blasting out some song or another that I'm sure one of our listeners will tell us what it is, and then Fiz comes out first. Weirdly, we kind of commented when we were watching it. Why did Fiz know that she should have come out when she heard the ghetto blaster? It could have been for anybody.
I know, yeah. She's like, oh, it's probably my husband trying to win back my love. You know, I have two men are fighting over me at the moment, but one of them doesn't know the other one's doing anything.
I think I'm surprised Sarah didn't come out saying, I'm the best boss in the whole of Weatherfield, and it's probably all the other people, all the other factory people in Weatherfield just wanting to poach me for their businesses because I'm so awesome. But no, Fiz comes out first, very embarrassed about the whole thing. Tyrone just thinks it's kind of weird, and Phill begs her to fight for their love. And then he does his Love Actually style card holdy thing, doesn't he? He plays what was the song that it's Once in Royal David City or something like that. Some unseasonal.
So first of all he's doing the John Cusack movie.
Yes. And
then he moves on to Love Actually.
Yes.
And it is,
it's the scene with Keira Knightley, and Sally knows what it is, and it's
and Fiz is Keira Knightley, and he's that bloke off The Walking Dead.
Yeah, and
he's the
that was
carol
kind of
singers.
Funny, wasn't it? But God, what's happened? He drops his cards beforehand.
Idiot doesn't even have a picture of a dead mummy, Egyptian mummy, which is what you've got to have.
What?
He says, "I'll love you till you look like this."
Oh yes.
And it's a picture of a mummy, and she goes, "Ha ha! I'm never gonna die. I'm Keira Knightley.
I'm gonna preserve myself."
Yeah.
He drops his cards, doesn't he? And you said they're going to be put back in the wrong order, and they were. But actually, as much as I rip on this week, it was actually very well done. I think this is an Ellen Taylor this episode. Right, I've got a feeling, and basically that he manages to get. What I should do is. What I want to do is get the words and put them to find out what he actually meant to say. I can just imagine
if it was whoever wrote it sitting there with all these cue cards trying to
probably took her a whole afternoon just to write that one scene.
Don't come in, I'm trying to work
anyway, he ends up coming up with such gems as "You are beneath me" and "I love your wind."
Yeah.
There's a bit later when Tyrone says to him, "Oh yeah, she can get a bit windy, can't she?" As he probably discovered last night. That's how Well, no, when he was sleeping with Fiz again. That's probably why...
It's been a long time, has it?
What? She was a bit windy. She's having a break. She had a bit of a farting fit in bed, probably. I don't know. That's what would have happened if the tables had been reversed and Fiz had snuck round Tyrone's house, and they were like, we know that Mum was here last night because we heard her blasting off the bed sheets in the middle of the night with her flatulence. Anyway, that's enough of that. Coronation Street made us talk about farts, everybody.
It's such a shame that song wasn't called The Flatulence Beneath Your Wings.
Yeah, exactly. Fiz is drowning his sorrows again in the Rovers with Tyrone later.
No,
He
Phill
reckons...
is.
That's what I said.
He said-
Phill. Sorry, Phill is.
Phill.
He thinks he's a laughing stock, but then he comes up with a cunning plan. Tyrone, what about you come on my mini-moon with me? We can have some boys bonding time and come up with some ideas for getting Fiz back to me. And Tyrone's like,
come on my
"Oh,
mini-moon.
brilliant."
We'll have a ball. We'll call it Operation Mini Balls.
Mini balls. Tyrone gets home later, gives Fiz the update on Phill. She's feeling still very guilty about this, but she knows who she loves, and it is Tyrone and not Phill. This is when he tells her about
Idiot.
the mini moon, and she's like, "For heaven's sake, that sounds like a load of rubbish." And he says,
What?
"Like, fine. I will tell him that I'm not going to go on it."
I have to tell you, there are plenty of people across this country who would have gone to the mini moon, even with an ex or soon to be, if it had air conditioning in it.
Yeah, I think so. So Friday, Fiz is still fretting about this whole deal. Tyrone says, "Don't worry, I'm going to pull out the mini moon." It's a mini moon. I think I've heard it a little bit in the past few years. Is this a new thing? Is it in the dictionary yet?
Why do we have to have these silly things like mini moon, mini break, a staycation?
Like, what is the
Go-
average honeymoon
go
then?
on
Is a mini moon
honeymoon.
just something that's a weekend?
Are you going to have a normal moon?
They should just call it a consummation moon. Because that's all it's for,
Consummation
isn't
station.
it? Yeah, exactly.
I don't look. Maybe he's called a mini moon because he's going to take us somewhere else. Because I'm honestly quite surprised that he's not got a 5-week Bermuda
selling out
snorkeling.
£950 for a barn and all the trimmings.
Well, no, I don't think that includes food because I'm just looking at the menu
there
and
we
you
go.
can have vine tomato soup, parma ham, whipped goats, cheese, confit duck, and green pepper corn roulette, or a seaside trio.
Are we going to have to go and
As
visit
the
this place
starter,
now?
£52.95 per person plus VAT.
No wonder they didn't invite many guests.
The main courses include chicken ballotine, fish and chips, glazed lamb leg, roast sirloin of British beef, or a rack of pork.
Sounds good. You
I'm there.
love reading menus, don't you?
I've got 4 books about menus.
Phill comes over. This is the problem with it. I keep saying the voice.
Tyrone.
Phill comes over to the garage later, and Tyrone has to make up some kind of excuse about why he can't go on the trip. He's like, "Oh, I've
I'm
just
windy.
got 3 cars come in. Sorry, I need to work on that. What's that? Aaron's just started. Yeah, but he's not been in this episode, so
crap.
it's fine. He's only a nipper. I kind of need to stay here and help him out with this." Now Phil's a bit disappointed by this, but he says, "Oh, I understand." But then he goes on to properly milk it and says, "Oh yeah, I'll just go on my own. I'll be okay. Don't worry about me, Tyrone." And Tyrone's like, "Fine, let's just wait and see how this work goes, eh? And maybe I'll be able to come along after all."
I'm sorry, but anyone should be happy to have a friend who wants to spend time with them.
They should, but I mean,
I'd be
I can
thrilled if
understand
somebody
why
wanted to go on a mini moon with me.
Oh.
You don't even want to go on a mini moon
I wouldn't be
with me.
thrilled if I was secretly knocking off his wife.
I hope
I'd
you're
probably
not.
find that quite awkward.
Whose wife are you secretly knocking off that you're concerned about this being an issue?
Nobody, because I don't think I've got any friends that I could. Whose
you've not
wives
got
I
any-
could knock off.
You've got friends, but I don't think anyone got any willing wives.
No. Well, they're missing out. Tyrone and Phill meet up in the pub later. Would you not rate me 5 stars?
What is this
On
Airbnb?
Spouse Advisor.
Spouse advisor.
Phil's still...
Spouse up your life.
Yeah, yes. Tyrone are in the pub later. Phil's still laying it on proper thick about how awful things are for him. You can tell I wrote the notes for this because I got no sympathy for his whining. And anyway, he says, "Oh yeah, I'm going alone. It just made things worse for me. I didn't even want to get up. I wish I was dead when I woke up this
What, so
morning."
you don't like Phill? You think
No, I
he's
do
whining?
like Phill. I love Phill, but no, let's get to the end. Let's get to the end. We'll talk about it. So Tyrone's like, "Fine, I'll come along on the mini moon with you." So he's there later. Phil is honking his horn, saying, "Come on, Tyrone, get in the car. We're going off on a break together.
And he's
come
like,
on,
"Oh,
come
do you
on."
want head to little tails.
Yeah,
Bless him.
He's got his mixtape, hasn't he? And they head off in the car. Kevin thinks it's kind of hilarious. So they get to the hotel.
If I could teach Phill one thing this week, it would be what the word playlist is.
Yeah, he's old like us.
He's saying mixtape, but that's not what you mean, is it, Phill?
He's in his 40s though, Gemma. He doesn't understand things like this.
It.
You'll come to realise it soon enough. Sammy Longchambon's probably making other mixtapes right now.
I'm already feeling like I don't know what the hell's going on. And also, the thing they don't tell you is once you get past a certain age, you don't care.
No.
You really don't care anymore.
Or Phill doesn't. Anyway, they head off, they arrive at the hotel, and they've not got the memo about the fact that this is not a honeymoon anymore, it's a lads and weekend away.
Who could have foreseen?
And who'd have thought? And there's balloons everywhere, little heart balloons, there's rose petals all over the bed.
I can just imagine that the scriptwriter put in, like, oh, don't worry, I'll let them know that there's no... that it's not going to be a honeymoon suite, but the props department was like, but we've bought all these helium balloons and we love putting rose petals on the bed. And they're like, just you've got to let them do it. They like doing it.
We had to build a whole new set because we can use the Chariot Square one because Ed was busy being electrocuted.
Yeah, and it's the same reason as why you can't have a party without being a costume party because the wardrobe department get really annoyed.
Yeah. Anyway, Phill,
they get to the hotel.
They get to the hotel.
And
Tyrone tries to de-honeymoonify it, but limited success. And then the only other thing we see of them tonight's episode is Phill singing sad love songs in the shower while Tyrone reports back to Fiz over the phone about what a miserable old time he's having.
Oh no, so sad.
Yeah. And then Phil's like, who are you talking to on the phone? And Tyrone says room service.
See,
so
you
I hope he
couldn't
then
get away
does go and do room service after that. Otherwise, Phil's going to be doubly disappointed. If you're already kind of feeling a bit maudlin and you think you're getting more room service, but then nobody turns up with a fancy cloche, that's going to just finish you off, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, come on.
I have to say, I was very relieved to hear that there was a separate shower because that hotel room was very fancy and it had a big gold bath, didn't it? Inside the room, and I was thinking that's going to get awkward at some point.
No, they're going to be having a bath. They'll be sharing a bath by the end of the weekend. Will Tyrone and Phill, like a pair of rugby players. They'll be getting all the bubble bath and everything, and blowing bubbles at each other. You know what they're like.
I really wish that Tyrone wasn't such a sneaky little toe rag because I think that.
He's just made a little mistake.
He literally cannot stop himself from having affairs. He's having an affair with a woman that he's supposed to be going out with, but because he's such a sneaky little liar, it's turned into an affair.
Who's he having an affair with?
Fiz. She's married to somebody else, and the person she's married to doesn't know.
Maybe he is going to have an affair with Phill, and then he's going to be having an affair with Phill and Fiz at the same time.
Don't tell. Don't say anything.
So did you enjoy this follow up? I mean,
I feel so bad for Phill.
That's what Coronation. I think that's what Corrie wants us to feel.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be a joke though, isn't it? Because he's making funny. He's singing funny songs and being maudlin. I don't know whether there will be a moment where it suddenly flips and we feel genuine sadness for him.
Yeah, because it's kind of comedic sadness at the moment, isn't it? To have him singing "All by myself" in the shower, it's just isn't it kind of funny? And they're having the ghetto blaster holding up. And the Love Actually stuff, and then he's just like he's coming across being really desperate, and I think Phill was a bit more serious a character. I mean, he was just a nice guy, wasn't he? But he wasn't. Wouldn't say he was a joke up till this point, and that's what this week feels like they've made him.
It's because they want us to.
They want us to be championing Fiz and Tyrone, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, I already am, so wrong. I don't need this. And you're like, I will never accept Fiz and Tyrone again together. So what's the point of doing all this?
Yeah, but, I mean, there's something wrong with you, obviously. No, right, I take it back. Listen, I've decided I'm going to make a mid-year resolution. I'm not going to be judgmental anymore of anything. And in fact, I'm going to go so far as to say that I'm going to... if you're a judgmental person, I cast you out. In fact, I hate judgmental people. I think they're the worst.
I get it. What you're doing there. This is suffering a similar fate to the Abby, Imran, Toya story, where there's 3 characters that are at loggerheads a little bit, and you're supposed to be picking a side, and Coronation Street really want you to be on a certain side, but I kind of like all of them, and I've been enjoying watching them together, but now there's the fallout. It's like, I'm not really enjoying it so much anymore, because not only is Phill looking a bit sad and pathetic, but Tyrone and Fiz, I think, are coming across as being very sneaky and devious. And I don't like watching...
What do you mean coming across?
And I don't really like that. But I do think that we're supposed to be cheering them on, you know? We're supposed to be on their side.
Despicable.
Any thoughts about this, Gemma? Opinions? Tell us what you thought.
I've already made it quite clear how I feel about these 2 retrobates.
Do you think that they are going to get...
Tardigrades?
They've got 2 weeks, Phill gave them, and, you know, in the weird timeline of Weatherfield, that's basically 6 days, months. Isn't it? But, so they're halfway through already, and he's none the wiser, so is he going to find out by the end of next week?
He's going to find out, and then he's going to be like, you're not getting an annulment out of me, Fiz and Tyrone. I'm going to make life very difficult for you.
Do you think he will, actually?
Mimi's going to come and tell you off.
Do you think he will find out?
Of course he's going to find out. This is a soap.
I don't need it stringing along for any longer.
The only things that remain secret forever are the things that we'd actually like to see revealed, like Imran finding out about Gary killing Rana, and where's the report,
that's
and
true.
Where's Gary killed Nick.
I made my prediction in last week's podcast was that Phill would be exiting Weatherfield on Monday, doesn't it? I thought that's going to be the last of him.
I told you were going to be wrong,
no,
and
I was right. Totally wrong. I was totally wrong. But the longer this stretches out, and the more pathetic Phill is made to look.
Stop saying pathetic.
Well, he does, doesn't he?
You're pathetic.
The more I'm going to wish that this story is over. I'm semi enjoying it. The mariachi stuff was fun. I don't know. I guess, being secretive is kind of all right. Do you think that how's he going to find out? Is he just going to end up walking in on them snogging? It's going to be something basic as that.
I don't know. That's boring.
There's no reason that Hope and Ruby should tell them, is there?
Can I just point out that Phill has put more effort into winning Fiz back this week than Tyrone has spent thinking about Fiz for the past 2 years.
No, yes. Tyrone has been wanting to get back into Fiz's pants for the last 6 months.
Tyrone is a dog. And he has cheated on Fiz loads of times, and now he can't even be a decent bloke and say, let's just wait until you have sorted out your stuff with Phill. He thinks anything he wants it immediately, and he doesn't care who he hurts.
He's just a bit randy.
He doesn't care who he hurts or how bad it is or what the fallout's going to be, and he has got the audacity to go on holiday with Phill and act like it's a big, massive inconvenience for him to comfort the man that he's actively hurting all along. He's just a horrible, disgusting, emotional wreck of a man.
But he didn't want to go on the honeymoon, Gemma. He was really trying hard to get out of it. But because he's so sympathetic and kind, he thought he'd better go along with it because he doesn't like to see his mate suffering.
Hanging's too good. I'm going to have him hung, drawn and quartered.
I did enjoy, and you might hate Tyrone, but we both did have a chuckle at his Jack Duckworth impression today, didn't we? What was he saying?
Don't know.
It was the.
I'm going to go and cheat on somebody in the ginnel.
Yeah, that was good. I also enjoyed Evelyn listening to her podcast about nut allergies. When was that? Monday?
It wasn't about nut allergies. It was about murdering people and pretending that you didn't know they had a nut allergy. I think.
Oh yes, that's
or something like that.
Yeah. Nice to get another podcast shout out. Right, that was that story.
Whenever they do that, I'm always like, we do a podcast. We do one of
those. Okay, that was fine. But anyway, I've made my thoughts on that storyline very clear. So Gemma, I'm going to pass There's Someone About Maria over to you.
On Monday, Ardy tries asking Kelly out for a drink after he comes out of the barber's, but she's like, oh, I'm busy, got stuff to do.
Been too busy doing the do-gooder.
Then she drops her bag on the floor and all this money falls out. So Ardy chases Kelly down the street going, where's all this money from? So she has to take him to the cafe to explain everything.
So this is the money that was found underneath Rick's floor a couple of months ago, wasn't it?
By Gary.
Yeah.
And he gave it to her.
Yeah, and then she kind of disappeared mysteriously into the tram station at the end of that episode. And I think we have known Or was it this week when we found out that what she was actually doing with it? I can't remember.
Am I right in remembering it was like 40 grand, or am I just
I don't
putting that out
remember
of
at
nowhere?
all. I don't know.
She's got lots and lots of money, and she tells Ardy that this is Rick's money and she's trying to give it back to the people that he took it from. Yeah. And she's like, he thinks that sounds risky and that she should talk to Gary about it. I'm just imagining, like, I know Kelly's got a job now working in the barbers, but imagine if she ever gets a job in a bank, she's going to be so confused. Can you imagine, like, you finish paying your mortgage and then, like, a guilty-looking teenage girl turns up on your doorstep going, "You've overpaid interest. I'm going to give you back £100,000. I don't know what you were thinking. I feel really guilty." I don't think she understands what loans are. Do you know what I mean? Like,
they knew the terms and conditions when they signed up for it.
So, she comes home later and she turns down tea for a shower and an early night because...
She didn't want to hang around Gary and tell him about her little
that's
enterprise.
Right, yeah. I see the significance now. Wednesday, she goes to Nibbles and Drinks with Maria because Maria's like, "Oh, I need to go to a council do to butter up the bin men."
Right in this week's episode, that buttered up bin men, calling it now.
Yeah, because they're all still mad at her, and so they go to Chariot Square. And they're all, but you can tell it's a posh do because Maria and Kelly are both wearing blazers.
Kelly's not come on a pink hoodie to that.
No, she's dressed up very nicely. And then somebody comes up to Maria to say, "Well done for sticking to your guns." And then Jimmy's like lurking about, being all mean, and he confronts Maria. And then Kelly jumps in to defend her. And then he's like, "I'm warning you." And then he kind of like walks off like, "Hooray, I did it." And then
I told her.
This sleazy guy comes over. He's such a slimy little sleaze. He's called Darren. I don't think that it's got anything to do with him being sleazy. And he says, "I work in environmental health." I don't know why. It's like, who cares? Okay. Before long...
Well, it's just, Maria probably cares an awful lot about environmental health.
I don't think she does.
Environment, you say? Is
it's
that about healthy planets?
It's not the same thing, is it? I think they should be renamed.
She doesn't know anything about anything.
I don't think she does. And he's like, "I recognise you. Where do I recognise you from?"
That was quite good as it slowly dawned on us. Like, oh, we recognise her from the video.
He's like, she says, "I don't know where you mean." He goes, "Oh yeah, I recognise you." And she's like, "What? Because I'm a counsellor." And he's like, "No, from your video." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I like your video." And she's like, "Listen, mate, that was a deep fake." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever. Do another one." And then he walks off. Oh, so entitled
He's so
and
leery
disgusting.
and creepy. It's horrible. Yeah.
So Maria walks home and then she gets a message that, this is creepy too, a message that says, "A third-party device has been travelling with you and the owner can see your location." And she's freaking out and she imagines it's the hotel creep coming after her, but she can't see anybody around.
Oh yeah, they make it all artsy, don't they? They have her, the hotel creep and Jimmy walking down the road, and then she kind of looks back again and it's just some random...
in a raincoat.
It's just some random citizen.
Yeah, so she tells Gary that she's being followed and she starts panicking and going through her bag, and then George walks up but she doesn't know it's him and she sprays him in the face.
Face full of mace.
And you're to blame. Can I tell you, it can't be mace because we're not allowed mace in this country. We're not allowed pepper spray either.
What do we use?
What? We're not allowed to use... Women aren't allowed to use anything to defend ourselves in this country, and I think it's ridiculous.
Did she have a taser? Should have been that.
Yeah, but if she had a taser, she'd have to go, "Taser, taser, taser, fire."
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, you've got to shout taser 3 times. And then you've got to turn around in a circle and go, "Sailor Moon."
So what would she have had in her handbag then?
Maybe it was breath spray. Maybe it was whatever sprayed Sarah Lou in the face in the factory.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
She's got
I've forgotten about
maybe
that.
she's got some like air freshener. Yeah, I mean.
I hope that whatever it was that she sprayed him didn't contribute to any more holes in the ozone layer.
She doesn't care about that, does she?
CFCs in or anything.
See, when I was a kid, we had to worry about holes in the ozone layer and acid rain, and we figured that out. So I don't know what the kids today are worried about. Just get on and solve the problem.
I hope Maria has roll-on deodorant, otherwise she's just a massive hypocrite, basically.
No, she probably gets her deodorant from Lush, and it's like a big pile of crumbly, organic nettles.
So she just kind of rubs it on.
You rub it in, and then you like all day long you're kind of crusty and
yeah, but she's going around just with a sense of smug self-satisfaction, knowing that she's saving the pandas.
Satisfaction. Anyway, she sprays him in the face, and then says, "Oh,
nothing really comes of
I'm
that.
really sorry." And he's nice. He says, "I'll take you to the cafe and help you look."
George is just like getting in other people's stories this week, isn't he? He's like, I'll help you with Operation Love Bomb. I'll help you by getting sprayed in the face.
Yeah, let me help you find an AirTag. This was also funny. They go to the cafe and she's rooting around in her bag, and then Nina says, "Oh, I think it's this." And Maria's like, "How do you know it's that?" And Nina's like, "Well, it looks like a tracking device, and also, do you recognise it? Did you pack this in your bag yourself?" Why did Maria not recognise it and question Nina as to what it was?
Well, you know, she's a counsellor now. She doesn't have to pack her own handbag in the morning. She has her aides to do that for her.
Whatever it was she sprayed in George's face, she's been huffing far too much of it.
Yeah, so it was just a little like circular kind of compass looking device.
I'll tell you what it looked like. It looked like a pog.
Did look like a pog.
See, back in the day, they could tracked all the kids with pogs.
Yeah, all the ones that played hooky from school to go and do swapsies.
Yeah, naughty. So, yeah, she's like, "Oh, somebody must have put it in my bag at the hotel." And then she stamps on it. And then she goes home to talk to Gary, and he's like, "Okay, we'll take it to the police." And she's like, "Oh, I stamped on it." And he's like, "You absolute donut."
Well, she don't want to be tracked back home, does she?
She's petrified. So they go to the police station together, and the police officer's like, "Nobody's done a crime against you."
Just checking in my police rule book, and actually it's fine to do that. But it surprised me.
It didn't surprise me at all.
That really, they need to make a law about that pretty quickly, don't they?
They don't care about women's safety.
But it's not just about, it's women, men, whatever. Anyone can get a tracking device planted
all right,
on them.
Because it can affect men, we should definitely do something about it.
Well, no, I'm just saying, whoever it affects.
Michael, I don't want, you know me. I'm a pro-woman person, and I'm focused mostly on women.
Yeah, I know, but
right. So I'm going to say that there are many things that should be done for women's safety, and I'm also going to point out to you, most of the people that are going to be tracked like this are going to be women.
Yeah, I agree. It probably is.
And there will be men victims, but there's going to be far more women who already have been. I've heard stories about this.
Well,
people put them on cars and stuff.
Yeah, it's something that used to be out the spy movies, isn't it? When they put it underneath your boot or whatever, your car, and then James Bond tracked you down the road.
It used to be a little metal box with like a big flashing red light and like an antenna coming out of it.
Yeah, and then you have your little radar to follow. But it seems utterly crazy to me. But I remember when Apple revealed their AirTags. I'm sure they weren't the first company to do it, but you know what they're like, and people were saying, "Hang on a minute, can't you use these to stalk people?" And they were like, "Yeah, but we're going to release them anyway. They're good for finding your keys." And I don't like that. I don't like it one bit. But
no, I know.
And the police officer is like, "Yeah, sorry about that."
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, is it really? I mean, what crime? It's not a crime to put something in somebody else's bag.
No, it's
there are
not,
loads of things that aren't crimes that should be. Like the thing I was telling you, you can park your car on somebody else's drive and there's nothing they can do about it. As long as you're not blocking somebody's vehicle from joining the highway, you can go and park your car in someone's driveway, and all they can do is go, "Oi," and that's it.
Driveway. Didn't the officer say if we were able to get evidence to show that they had like nefarious intent, or if they intended to harm you or something, then we could pursue a case against them. But if all they did was want to know where you are, then that's fine.
Okay, but listen, I mean, to argue the other way on this, it's kind of a bit like what happened with Yasmin and Jeff and his coercive control and like looking after money. Like, it's not illegal for Jeff to give her 20 quid budget to do the shopping. But it is if it's part of a pattern of behaviour that is harmful to her. So in the same way, I guess, you know, it's not illegal to put a tracker in somebody's bag, unless, you know, because you could do it by accident, or I don't know. I'm trying to think of reasons why there wouldn't be one, but this is just a case of the laws not catching up to technology quickly, because our government's full of people that don't even know what emails are.
Yeah, they've got a few problems of their own to sort out at the moment.
Like, blooming, what's her face? Who's the woman that used to be the Secretary of Culture or whatever, and she didn't even know what downloading. She says, "Oh, we've improved the upstreaming for your movies."
I just can't think of a, the officer said, there's got to be a nefarious reason for it. I can't think of what could be a good reason for slipping an air tag into someone's bag.
The thing is, you can't just go around making laws against every single thing in the world that's possible.
No, oh well. I mean,
the solution that they've come up with, which is the technology company has come up with this thing that can be used as a very dangerous purposes. They've come up with a solution which is that your phone at least can tell you. Like I showed you the other day, I had that come up on my phone, didn't I?
Yeah.
Some kind of tracking device. Something came up on my phone going, "You're being followed by and they can tell where you are." It's creepy as hell because you're like,
really creepy.
What the hell? Who's done this to me? And why? And now they know where I live. That's really scary. So so there's no that unless there's intent to harm. Do you know who it is? Gary's like, "Oh, I reckon it was this Red Pill 100," and she says.
She says the Red Pill 100 has been registered to an anonymous IP address that we can't find out who that is.
Well, the thing is, they're coming up with all this stuff and it's obvious, but there's no evidence. They can't prove any of it. And the police are like, okay, you can't... Just because somebody was mean to you on the internet doesn't mean it's the same person. And the policewoman didn't say this, but was probably thinking, well, to be honest, a lot of people don't like you, Mireille. You're really annoying. So, I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't me.
They probably put something in your bag so they knew where you were, so they could not be in the same place as you.
Yeah, they're like,
oh God,
she's
just want to go
cafe.
somewhere for a nice drink, but I don't want Maria coming to follow me, so where is she? That's fine. She's at speed dial, so I'm going to be at the bistro tonight.
So they say, what about Jimmy? And so the police officer's like, I'm going to go and investigate him first. Anyway, the whole point of this part of the story is to just demonstrate that there's no real support or help for women who are experiencing, or men who are experiencing this kind of issue. And the whole thing on the internet, I mean, there are so many stories about people getting in trouble for saying or doing something on Twitter and somebody gets offended and then the police go around and talk to them. And then there's this version of events where somebody's literally threatening somebody's life and the police are like, whoa, what do you want us to do about it? So Kelly goes and speaks to Maria and she's like, oh, I'm really sorry about it, but I don't care.
This is
I'm not
great
worried.
foreshadowing. It's like, I am feeling really safe. I'm Kelly Nealon. Nothing could go wrong for me. Like... If that wasn't soaked words of doom, I don't know. I've never felt safer in my life, exactly.
I'm not going to a love nest. At the end of the episode, Maria phones the school and says that Liam's got a tummy bug and he's not coming in tomorrow.
Lies.
On Friday, Kelly's up early and tells Gary she's got a project.
She doesn't say project, she says project, and I'm very disappointed.
And Maria comes in and tells everybody that Liam's not going to school because he's not well. And there's lots of questioning about whether he's well or not, and they're very suspicious.
Yeah, they managed to hide it by not actually having Liam feature in the episode tonight, didn't they? Was he in it? I don't think he was in it.
Ardy finds Kelly at the bus stop and offers to tag along with her, whatever this is. Well, because he knows, doesn't he? And
he says, put an air tag in a bag.
Have you told Gary about this? And she says, no, I haven't. So, Officer Craigie comes around, and if I was Maria, I would not be enthused at the prospect of him getting to the bottom of the case. He says, Jimmy's been harassing her. There's no evidence the tracker is from him. But do you want to pursue a case anyway? And she says, yes. Don't know. So, okay. Then Gary
no
takes...
evidence, but I definitely want you to keep on harassing him back.
I know, why doesn't she just start... Why doesn't she get on the internet and, call herself Woman Avenger 33 or 40 or whatever? Go on there and start saying Jimmy smells. Jimmy's a bin bag. You know what I mean? Just be like, Jimmy's a crackhead.
Yeah.
Just say, I saw him smoking meth.
Yeah.
Just start spreading rumours
Maybe
about him.
that's how the story's going to end.
Yeah, just put a tracking device on him and go, oh, I don't need to put a tracking device on you. I think a lot of us would gain
a lot of respect for Maria if she just did that.
Say, Jimmy, I was going to put a tracking device on you, but I don't need to because I know what your bin round is.
I can smell you with everyone I know and go, oh, that's Jimmy.
Why not? Why not? If he's going to be a sexist, misogynistic arsehole to her, then she can fight back. Can't she?
Yes. But her idea of fighting back is recording videos to go online saying, I'm not scared.
I'm not scared of you. Leave me alone. So, Gary takes Liam to school because he says he's better, and then he says let's go to the bistro later to cheer you up. Then he goes outside, and Jimmy's loitering around in the gardens opposite. Then we see Kelly and Ardy returning to the street. They had a nice time. Evelyn comes over because Ardy told her to take over at the shop and she's not very happy. And then she makes a comment about them flirting. Then when Maria comes out on the street, Jimmy starts harassing her. And this is where she should have gone, P.U. Who's this? She scurries inside. Normally, see, I wouldn't condone making fun of people who work hard for a living and to help us to get rid of our bins.
Yeah, but
in this case, he's horrible. So I say all bets are off. So she gets upset and she runs back inside. And then Gary gets a phone call from Sharon, who's Mardy.
Yes, not Abbott Sharon.
No.
Not Taser Sharon.
Proper Sharon. Kelly
Lone
and
Shark
Ardy
Karen.
agree
Sharon.
to go on a date later. Then Kelly gets home and Gary rants at her because he's heard from Sharon that what Kelly's been up to, but really he's mostly worried because he's like, this is going to bring up the whole can of worms about that murder that I did.
Yeah, thought I'd get away with it.
So she goes and drops off down Victoria Street, and then she bumps into Ardy, hears what's happened. Then he puts her foot in it because he's like, oh, well, I thought we were having a date later. And she's like, yeah, I thought we were as well. And he says, oh, what are you wearing? Is that not that? And she's like, yeah, this. And he's like, oh, well, I was going to dress up. And she's kind of like,
She's not in the mood, yeah.
It's a heat wave, I'm wearing a hoodie. Aren't you impressed? I said I was hard. So he's getting excited about this date. Then Gary goes off to sort things out.
He was excited until he realises that he said something that he probably shouldn't have done.
He finds Ardy in the shop and he tells him that they're having a date later and asks his advice about what shirt he should wear. Apparently the white one is the best one. Kelly goes to some guy's house and the door opens and he kind of like folds himself out like this giant evil monster. And she's like, so, hello, I'm a stupid girl with lots of money. Would you like some? And he's like, brilliant, thanks very much. And when she leaves, he calls someone up and says, you'll never guess he's knocked on my door. And doesn't go well for her. Asher finds Ardy alone in speed dial later. He's been waiting for an hour and 20 minutes. He could have watched a movie. Perhaps it was what he said about her clothes. She's concerned, and he gets a doggy bag. For some reason, Ryan's given him a bag of rice. Is this how they serve rice in a speed dial, in a bag?
There's a boil in the bag. He says you can do this yourself at home.
Good Tilda boil in a bag, all right? So he comes home, all sad and alone. Then when Gary gets back, Maria's like, oh, Kelly hasn't come home from her date. Where could she be? She hasn't come home to change, to get ready, because she was wearing a hoodie earlier. And it's 40 degrees. But turns out that Kelly has been imprisoned in a love shack.
Oh no. Oh, so the big guy was on the phone to the local dungeon master.
I just love...
She's been given her own set to wallow in, like Andy Carver.
My continual fascination with Coronation Street's like absolute unconscious snobbery of working class people. Because there's everyone on Coronation Street who's supposed to be working class, but they all own their own businesses and houses. And then there's also the estate people who live on the estates and the skanky houses.
Everybody who lives on the estate on Coronation Street is a wrong one, aren't they?
And they're all criminals. And then this guy like kidnaps Kelly off the street, and then he just throws her in this murder room that he just happens to have because the estates are just full of abandoned houses that have got a dirty mattress on the floor and like bars on the windows and locks and things. I'm surprised he didn't have a Doberman.
Well, we'll get to see, won't we? Because this is just the tease for next week. Are you feeling titillated and enthused about seeing Kelly? And are we ready to be forced to be sympathetic for her again? If we just all write into Coronation Street and say, okay, we forgive her for kicking Seb to death.
We like her now.
We like her now. Stop putting her in peril, please. God, Bennett. I've got sympathy for her.
Because she can only defeat an enemy that's on the floor. So if she can get the man on the floor, she can kick him to death. But other than that, she's powerless.
She didn't do it. It was Corey, Gemma. We got to remember that. She just stood back and laughed for a little bit, and then she tried to pull him off.
No, stop.
Right. Yeah. So do you think how long is she going to be trapped in this? She's going to be out by next week.
I don't really relish. It feels. Sometimes I say things are predictable, and then they don't go the way I predicted. But I still
that
don't.
Usually happens
I still
when I say
don't
things
care.
are predictable.
Like I don't feel like. I feel like I know how this is going to go.
Go on then.
Oh, I'm sad, let me out. No way, you've got loads of money. You're Rick Neelan's daughter. But I don't like him. I'm trying to be a good girl. No, you're also murderous. No, it wasn't me. I didn't do it, promise. Stay in here. Here's some gruel. I don't like gruel. Oh, God, you're so fussy. What do you want? I was going to go on a date to speed dial. All right, I'll get you some speed dial. What do you want? Can you get me some chicken nahari? I'm not getting you chicken nahari. What do you want? Oh, can I have a korma? No, there's a bucket in there for the toilet. Think about it. You need something that's not spicy. You need something very mild. In fact, no, I'm going to get you a hot pot. I don't want a hot pot.
You can have a little bag of salad and be happy with it.
You can have a bag of rice.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, cry. I'm all alone. A man looks through the hole and goes, "You're horrible, I'm going to get you." And then she cries a bit more. Gary's walking around going, "Oh, where is she?" The dodgy man's like, "Oh, I know him." Sharon turns up. "I'm going to help you look." They look around. Then they walk past the murder hut and she's like, "Oh, maybe she's in there." And Gary's like, "That was too obvious." Then she goes, "Help me, help me." They break the door down. Big guy comes along. "That's my murder hut. What are you doing? That's my captive." "Oh, thank you, Gary." Fight. Gary says, "What the hell are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, I just wanted to right the wrongs of my father." And he says, "I killed your dad. Let's go home." She goes, "Oh, okay."
You've been looking at the next issue of Inside Soap magazine, Gemma, because
I wrote Inside Soap magazine.
So that's how it's going to go, is it?
It's just going to be a week of her crying. It's just going to be a week of her crying.
A week is long
yet
enough
somehow
for this.
looking completely immaculate and not at all dishevelled in any way, like you might be if you were stuck in a metal hut during a red alert in the hottest weather that country's ever seen.
Oh yeah, that's a bad week next week to be trapped in a dungeon downstairs, isn't it?
No, it's the perfect time to be trapped in a dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
Nice and cold, not a murder hut though.
No, not with the.
Oh, sorry, a love nest.
Yeah, I just don't really relish this. We're supposed to be feeling bad for her, but I just can't.
I also like another faceless criminal goon from the estates.
I just don't like it. It's like, oh dear, something else bad is happening to poor Kelly. I get it. I mean, if it had been somebody else, I might have been a bit more upset about it or looking forward to it. But yeah, I think it's just because it's Kelly, and I have grown to like Kelly more, but. You know, there's only so much that I can like her before I start to veer off again and start going, oh no, not Kelly again. Millie Gibson's great, but let's just let her have a bit of fun, shall we? Give her some mates or something, maybe?
Yeah, like if you wanted to make me really like her, get her instead of going around going, "Here's some money, really sorry." She should go and knock on the door and go, "Oi, what was this loan for?" And he'll be like, "Oh, it's for drugs." And then she goes, "Right, you're a wrong'un, get in this murder hut." And she just rounds up all the people
she could be a local vigilante, couldn't she? That would rebalance the universe.
She's gonna be very shocked when she realises that all the people that were taking loans out from Rick Neelan weren't all just buying paddling pools for their nans to wet their toes in during the heat wave.
Very true. So who do we reckon is the dungeon master? Is it going to be
just a random man?
Not anybody that we've met before.
It's going to be someone boring. Wait, we've met him, isn't he? Oh, you think he was on the phone to somebody interesting? Hi, somebody interesting on the phone. Can you pick up, please? This story's boring. Hi, it's me, Rula Lenska. Do you need me?
Yeah.
Maybe it's her.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's Claudia going to come back.
Maybe she's going to hold Kelly hostage to try to make Audrey sell her the salon. I've got your best girl locked in a love nest, Audrey. If you want your hair to be cut, you've got to give me money and I'll let her out. David's next. And Audrey's like, ha ha. Arrest all my children, I don't care. Take Gail first. Just not Stephen.
God, you were on fire tonight, Gemma.
I know, I was doing hand gestures then. I had phones, I was holding phones in my face. You can't even see it on the podcast.
I knew, she was still doing a good job. What do you reckon to Kelly and Ardy as a couple?
It's called props work. Learn about it.
What do you reckon as Kelly and Ardy? Why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean,
I thought he was kind of sweeter with Summer, but...
Summer's boring.
I know. Yeah, whatever. I Is this going to be a story
Move
for RD?
on.
Maybe, I hope so.
Is RD going to rescue
anything
her?
else?
Don't know.
Yeah, maybe. RD, Gary, I
Next.
don't care. Okay, fine. Let's move on. So, the talking of Audrey, the Love, Death and Roberts storyline up next. So, okay, so
Right, you've got to be more positive.
Okay, on Monday there's a really brilliant scene where
Don't be
Bernie
sarcastic.
is
You're
listening
confusing sincerity with sarcasm, which is always a problem in this country.
in. So David's talking to Sarah, and Bernie's kind of earwigging in the beginning of Monday's episodes. David reckons.
Did you say earwigging or earwagging?
Wigging?
Just checking.
That's the word, isn't it? David reckons that Stephen's going to make them beg for this trust money. He's going to be lording it over them as the money keeper, and he's not happy about this. Stephen, as he talks to Sarah later, he's like, "Hey, I didn't ask to be in charge. Sorry, it's what Mom wanted." And then he tries to do a deal with Sarah, convincing her to buy some cheap silk from his Milanese factory instead of where she usually gets it from. And Sarah thinks this sounds like a fabulous idea. But I've got to run it past Carla first. I'm not actually the boss.
Another demonstration of what an utterly pathetic businesswoman Sarah actually is.
Why?
Because he's like, "Hey, Sarah, you know you're a knicker factory, and you know that I have a silk factory. Have you ever thought of buying your silk from me?" Oh my God, Stephen, that's such a great idea!
Well, maybe it has been brought up before, because when Carla finds out about it, she doesn't like the idea of doing dealings with your family, does she, or something?
She can shut right up.
I know, the fact that, her, Johnny, Rob, they're all in the rag trade together,
She's
weren't
like,
they?
"Sarah, don't do dealings with your family. You've got to shag your way to the top like I did. You can't shag your uncle, can you? Think about it. You're not going to get a good price out of him."
So Carla poo-poos
Sarah's
that
like,
idea
"You'd be
and says,
surprised."
"Sorry, you can't work with him, even if it's cheaper, and it might be good for business."
What an idiot.
Maybe it's just
They're all
because
just
she has done
idiots.
dealings with her family before and it's turned out to be wrong. I don't know.
Well, her brother did rob her.
Anyway, David's still banging on to Sarah about speaking to Stephen about this whole trust thing. So she meets up with him and says, "By the way, sorry, I can't buy your lovely silk." And he says, "Hey, you're better than being a glorified PA to Carla." And so they go back. She goes to the barber's again later. David nags her again. It felt like I was a bit Groundhog Day in this episode. David saying, "Hey, have you talked to Uncle Stephen about the trust fund yet?" "Oh, okay, I'll go and check it." "Hey, Sarah, I don't want to be in charge of the money."
"I'll give you some knickers."
Yeah. Anyway, she says, "If you've got a problem with the trust, you can speak to Stephen yourself." Wednesday, there was a funny line from David where Audrey's saying about what a lovely boy Stephen is, and David's like, "He's 65. The brilliant delivery
They're
of that
always
one.
your babies.
I know. And Gail says, "Oh, we're all at Loggerheads. Why don't we have a nice family meal together? Oh, where shall we go? Oh, there's so many options for us to have our lunch in. The bistro it is." So they're there toasting
So they're
Stephen
there
later.
again for the second week in a row.
That was where they were last week, wasn't it?
And Audrey's got the soup again, and she's like, "This soup is really bitter."
Still pretty bitter.
By the way, I'm pretty sure that I solved the mystery of how the bitter soup could have been. Pat and Nancy on the Facebook group, we all put our head together. I reckon it's watercress soup.
I like a bit of watercress soup.
But it can be bitter, can't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That really bothered me. I was thinking a lot about what the hell has she ordered? Why is it bitter? Have somebody put arsenic in Audrey's soup or something?
Trying to bump her off
Yeah.
to get that cash.
Here you go, ma'am. Have this apple. Don't take the pips out. Just eat it whole.
Yeah, eat the red side, not the green side. Before long, it all descends into bickering between Sarah and David, which is always kind of fun. Audrey leaves. David is still holding a massive grudge about Stephen taking to Sarah to Milan all these years ago. Stephen's fed up with all the tension too, feeling that David is clearly getting at him, so he leaves as well. Stephen finds Audrey later on, knocking back painkillers at home, and he says, "Hey Mom, everything was fine here before I get back. Maybe I should just go back to Milan." And Audrey says, No, Stephen, stay. I think it's wonderful. You're the only one that cares about me here." So Jonah, David and Sarah get home later, and Audrey is absolutely fuming because Stephen has buggered back off to Italy. David can barely contain his glee with this news, and she says, "Oh, well, Stephen's made me feel brilliant since he came back. I fell over. He's doing a really good job of looking after me. You guys have all been ruining it. I'm going back to Grasmere Drive, so screw you." And then
And to find out more about the origins of Grasmere Drive, please listen to our bonus episode about Alf Roberts, released earlier this week.
Yeah, exactly. Good plug. So at the end of the episode on Wednesday, Shona tells David that maybe you should call Stephen and tell him not to go. And he's like, well, I don't think that's going to work. He's probably...
I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know what the extension number for Italy is.
I thought they might do a mad dash to the airport like Chesney did for Joseph earlier this
probably
year.
still
They've already blown
queuing
their airport budget location shooting.
He's still queuing in Manchester airport car park trying to get through security.
Probably. Anyway, he says what we need to do is do something to make Audrey feel better about herself, make her feel important. But what can it be?
And they don't even think of it.
No, they don't think about it. They spend the whole of Friday just thinking about it really quietly, going,
what could
maybe...
it be?
What
could it be?
Well, I think we have kind of seen some preview pics of next week of what exactly
I know what they're going to do.
I do, so I can't really speculate about that.
No, I can tell you. It's going to be... They're going to buy a silk twilly.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. Definitely. So is this can't be the end of Stephen yet, can it? Because there's still unfinished business between him and Elaine.
Why has he come off in such a huff?
I was surprised that he went so quickly. The first scene he was saying, hey, maybe I should go back. And the next scene he's just gone. But
I wonder if he's up to something dodgy. Trying to help Sarah.
What do you reckon?
Why is he like desperately trying to
silk?
get her? Has he got money troubles?
I don't know. I must admit I've been a little disappointed with Stephen's return. I know he was never the most exciting of characters anyway, but he's not really gripped me yet. But yeah, he must come back, because otherwise what's the point of wooing Elaine earlier this week?
Well, what's the point of him coming back at all, really?
Yeah, could they have done this story without him?
Absolutely. So
they probably pretty much could have,
I think he is coming
they?
back. I don't think he's gone. I think he's just gone home for a pizza or something.
Yeah, because the story was that they don't appreciate Audrey and they just want her for her money, and they could have certainly done that without having the golden child of Stephen Reed. So anyway, watch this space.
He had to get Audrey out from underneath the motorbike.
He did, but I think somebody else might have been able to do this.
She should have just rolled out from it.
I'm not really enjoying this story. I'm not enjoying the Platts at war with each other. It just kind of feels...
It's not as funny as it normally is. It's all mean-spirited.
There is mean-spirited, exactly that. There are funny lines in there, definitely, but I just...
It makes everyone into greedy, grasping little oiks, doesn't it?
And
Audrey's also
I'm kind of feeling bad for Audrey, but on the other hand, when she starts laying into the family, I'm just like, calm down, love.
And also when she's like, Stephen's the best person who ever lived in the entire universe. It's like, I don't know.
I know. She's... no wonder they're kind of narked at her, because she's been so...
Also...
all about them compared to Stephen.
Is she still drunk all the time, or has she given up?
I think she's over that now. Yeah. So...
whatever.
Yeah, it's not really working for me, this storyline, which is sad for a Platt storyline, because I love a good Platt story, but yeah, it has some good lines. The other one was when, I can't remember what the context was, but I've written the line here where David says, oh, that's around the time my 13-year-old sister got pregnant and mentally and emotionally scarred me for the rest of my life. It was when she was talking about Stephen whisking her off to Milan, or... Oh no, it wasn't before that, I don't know. But anyway, that was a good line. I don't remember the context, so let's move on, Gemma.
Nice work.
Thanks to your Tim's story.
My Tim story.
Your
don't
lovely
say it's
Tim.
my Tim story.
What's he been getting up to this week, the kinky git?
On Monday,
Oh, this was funny. This was funny.
On Monday, Tim gets Sally the Weatherfield Gazette from the day she was born for her birthday. I like that. That was fun. There were lots of great references. Whoever was responsible for that in the props department, very good job.
Yeah, because it was a kind of... I went back just earlier on today and I did a few freeze frames, because we spotted that there was an advert for Miami Modes there, didn't we? Which was the shop that Elsie Tanner worked in for a little bit in the 60s. But then Coropedia replied to our tweet about it on Twitter and said, oh, there were some other ones as well. So I had to look back today, and yeah, there was an advert for Gamma Garments on the first page, and that was the one that Emily and Leonard worked in, wasn't it, in the early 60s. There was also one for the school where Ken worked at. They could have done more. Like what they really should. No. All I'm saying is what I would have done.
Oh right, wow.
Is I would have looked at what happened on Coronation Street, the episode before that day, and then made some news event about it. And I went on Coropedia earlier and said, well, what happened on the episode on the 10th of July, 1967? And apparently Coronation Street lost out to Inkerman Street in the best kept street competition. And if that's not front page news on the Weatherfield Gazette, then I don't know what it is. Instead, it's some politician or something that's
Secretary of Culture or something.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, I very much appreciated that they did this, and I hope that at some point we can get to see scans of the newspaper online.
There's a very amusing story about what was it? A dancing ferret?
Yes. Yeah, Barry the dancing ferret dancing along to the Beatles or something.
Not as good as Jeff the talking mongoose.
No.
But, you know, can't have everything.
If
that was the Isle of Man, after all.
If we get to go behind the scenes on Coronation Street again and go to the prop department, I want somebody to find that newspaper for me, because I would sit and read that. I want to go back. So I want to go behind the scenes again. I want to go to the writer's room again.
You're not allowed. They won't let you in. They'll beat you up. They'll fight you.
I know, but
they'll stab you in the eye with a pencil.
We were talking about this a few weeks ago when I was speaking to Jen Berry, weren't we? And you said, like, I would sign any... What was it?
Any disclaimer, NDA.
Any disclaimer, anything. We would not talk about it. Ever. If somebody would let us in, just have a little look, because I'm really, really fascinated to see what is going on behind those glass doors in the publicity room and the writers' room and everything. I would literally, I swear, everybody, I'd be really, really quiet about it. Because we've seen like behind the scenes and the sets and everything now. I really, really, really want to know what's going on behind the rest of it. Anyway, just putting that out there.
Well, I often, you know, like when you watch like 28 Days Later or like Dawn of the Dead or whatever, and there's a zombie apocalypse, and you're like, oh, if that is all, everyone else was dead, and like you could go anywhere, where would you go?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd go into the Tower of London and steal the crown jewels, or I'd go to Harrods and take all the fashion, or I'd go to the
take all the fashion.
That's what I do. I go to a car place and get a Ferrari, or you know, I find Hamilton's race car and drive it back.
We
People
just
like,
go to
I'm going to
Media
go
City.
to the writers' room at Coronation Street and I'm going to find out
all the stories that were going to happen,
exactly,
but now we're not.
Like, no, there's not going to be
that was going to be really good.
Street. We're going to have to go and break in and see what they were up to. We're going to have to go around everyone's houses and break into the actors' houses and see if they've got any scripts.
I'd be go there, and then I'd take a stop over at the Nintendo offices in Japan and find out what games I would also not get to play. But I guess they'd have development copies of them that I could have a little go on.
You could do. I mean, that is a really a funny concept for a zombie movie. Like, in a world where everyone's dead, two nerds set out to discover what would happen in Coronation Street.
That would be my base of operations, and I'd be sitting on the top of the Tony Warren building taking shots
like
at all
with
the
a
zombies.
rifle.
Yeah.
and it would be like in was it Dawn of the Dead, where they're standing on top of the shopping centre and they're shooting everybody because they look like celebrities, but in our case it really would be celebrities, all the zombified Coronation Street actors.
Yeah, it'd be like, you and like Dan Archibald or Alison Sinclair or something. There we go. I'd love that.
It's William Roach. I can't do it. I can't do it. we can't kill William Roach. We've got to keep him somewhere.
Yeah,
we've got to lock him up. Now he's a zombie. He'll never die.
Yes, I reckon that William Roach made the zombie apocalypse happen.
You just imagine like in Apocalypse Coronation Street, like Coronation Street episode 500,000,002. What's that, Ken? Brains. That's right, yes.
Yes, you are the cleverest person on the street, Ken. We know.
We know. You used to work for a newspaper. You wrote a book.
We've diverged a little bit. That was quite fun. Back to Sally and Tim, Gemma. It's her birthday. She's got a newspaper. That's how we got to this very long-winded rambling about Coronation Apocalypse. Can you see the link we made there?
Yeah, I get it. So he wants to do something nice for her, but she just wants to relax in the hot tub. So they go to the hot tub and Sally's like, remember, ne touchez pas. The therapist says we cannot touch each other.
Just gotta look at each other's eyes in the hot tub.
But he's getting all randy, and then they leap out of the tub to go and consummate her birthday. They come down later.
Not really your birthday unless you go up and have a bit of rumpy-pumpy.
Not your birthday unless you've been wearing your birthday suit.
Yes, exactly.
So they come down later. No, did not work. And Tim is sick of himself.
Joe Dutton is so great at looking downhearted when he comes down those stairs. It's so funny. And Sally's like, never mind, Tim.
Don't worry,
happens to everyone. How many times has she said that this past 6 months?
So he goes down, he goes for a walk, all sad, but she finds him at the pub later and tempts him home with a takeaway. On Wednesdays
is great.
Sally tells Tim that she's been listening to an interview with Sting. Oh, jeez.
I said what it was.
As soon as she said Tim, you went...
I'm like, tantric.
I think literally anyone of a certain age in this country, if you hear the word Sting, you go, tantric sex.
I don't know anything. Was he in the police? Is that right?
I don't... Was he a fireman?
Or was he a giant bee? No,
It's both really.
I think he was in
Awful
Police, but I
jokes.
don't know any songs. I don't know any oh no, they did that. Every little thing that she does is magic. That was a Police song.
Every
wasn't
little
it?
thing that she does is magic.
Absolutely.
I like my magic lady.
I don't know.
My name is Sting and I like to shag lots. Let's go
For a long
home and have
time.
a party.
And that's the only Sting stuff we know.
That is our favourite Sting song.
Yeah.
So
Let's all go and have a old-fashioned Sting song around the piano. Get you tinkling the ivories, Ina.
Oh, I think the heat has cooked. Probably the part of my brain that's responsible for rational
It always
thought.
makes a great podcast, don't worry about it. We don't need no Summer's Robot.
Okay, so Sally's like, let's do tantric sex.
In the Rovers.
Which sounds really boring and long and just a really inefficient use of time. Tim's embarrassed about talking about that kind of stuff in the Rovers, and Aggie's at the bar, she's listening in and smiling to herself. I would be up the other side of the bar faster than you could say Sting ... but she seems to find it interesting.
Yeah.
Then she's reading a book in Victoria Gardens. She's probably like, I'm singing this book about Sting and I can't remember. Tim meets up with her and he sits down and she says, don't be embarrassed. I didn't hear anything about anything to do with anything. Don't know what you mean. Don't know who Sting is. What police, what. And he says, she says, if you want to talk to me about your problems, you can. So he's like, oh, my little problem's not getting any better.
He's still not been open to her about what the problem is, even though it's patently obvious, I'm sure, to her.
She's probably like, he's got bum problem. he can't do a number 2 very comfortably. That's probably what she's thinking.
Yeah.
She's gonna go in and she's going, oh Ed, poor Tim's constipated, and Sally's getting really upset with him.
Yeah.
So he.
If you try, you give him some of my laxatives. They've worked wonders on me, Aggie.
I bet I know what works wonders in the Bailey's household. It's just anything Aggie cooks.
Yeah.
Runs straight through you. Right, so anyway, Aggie says, oh, well, it sounds...
When Ed got knocked back by the force of the electric shock, he probably left a stream of diarrhea
No.
from the radiator to the bed.
That was not needed.
Not a
Michael.
visual image we needed on this podcast.
Okay, so Aggie says, sounds like Sally's not giving up and neither should you.
So we've got a new plan.
He's like, I
This
know
is my
what.
scene of the week.
I found this very implausible.
So did I.
He goes home and he's like, I know what I shall
I
do.
hear there's naughty ladies on the internet.
Someone told me in the pub. He's like, I went
I think
into
it
the
was probably
toilet.
Steve.
I'm going to Voggle adult videos.
What does he put in? He's like, because we took a screenshot of that later, he looks for adult videos, normal ones or something. It's so funny.
Normal porn for normal people.
Yeah.
He Voggles it and he ends up on a website which was Naughty Videos 101.
Which sounds like it came from, the late 90s, doesn't it?
It sounds like a guide to how to start on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So he says, I'm doing it for you, love. And then he looks at a picture of Sally and then presumably turns to the computer
Screen.
where he's going to watch an erotic video.
Yeah, if you haven't been back and screenshotted some of the Voggle search results that Tim gets, then do, because there's like a list of 10 pre-watershed friendly porn site names that the Coronation Street people had to come up with to appear on the search results. It's very amusing.
I think
and the actual site itself looked like it came from the 90s as well, didn't it? It was.
Yeah, it was.
It was
a
kind
bit
of funny.
old school. I'm surprised
But
she didn't.
who knows? Maybe that's what they do look like. I wouldn't know.
I'm surprised she didn't end up on dirtywidows.com.
Dirty widows. You put out a tweet, didn't you, about other possibilities for Corrie safe adult websites that they could have used.
We got a few different suggestions.
Yeah, we
didn't I?
did.
Don't know
Georgia
if I
Taylor
can-
suggested luckyburglar.com, I remember, which is a very nice
That's
reference
great.
to Sally and Tim from
Oh,
earlier
where
in
can
the
I
year.
find it? We've done
I think
so
you've
much
done so many
tweeting.
nonsense tweets in the meantime.
Oh, no, okay.
No, keep looking.
Okay, so I came up with London Lovelies,
Oh yeah,
.org,
Jack Walker reference.
weatherfieldwives.com, sexymexy.edu, and then we've got Lucky Burglar, factorygirls.com, this is Cheshire Chris, victoriastreetsecret.com,
Oh nice.
Town and Country website soap came up with birmingambabes.com and taxigirls.co.uk. And then we had Carl Sutton, who came up with Rampant Rovers.
That's one of my favourite ones.
I can't read some of these.
I am Ken Barlow, upthegindle.com.
Brilliant.
Disgusting. Anyway.
He, I don't know why this is the first time he's ever discovered this. Maybe he's of the generation who would have to stumble into the woods and find a dirty magazine in a pile of like beers.
Maybe that's what they should have had and done, and he could have found Rick Neelan if only he was still there. If these storylines had crossed over earlier. Yeah.
So Sally comes home later and they share a few glasses of wine, and he says, Sally's like, I'm not gonna push you anymore, and he says, don't worry, I've got some ideas to how I can get myself in the mood.
Yes. Which is going on porn sites, I guess.
I was expecting him to find Maria's video.
I know,
but I think that would have, because this is supposed to be like a slightly gentle humour kind of story, and I think that I think that the reality of the origins of some of this pornography that Tim is gonna come across, they don't really want to make it obvious to people. They don't, like, it's not a story about, do you know that a lot of these women were actually probably trafficked or underage, or this isn't even actually them, or they never gave permission for this video to be uploaded? Oh no, porn is unethical. Oh, it's not a story about that. It's about
we
naughty
don't
videos.
We don't want him stumbling into Ash's video or anything like that.
Exactly. This is the thing about it, right? There have been so many stories here about, I mean, like even going back as far as Steph. How many people on Coronation Street have been exploited for things like this? And then
Dev. Giant naked picture of him on Victoria Court.
What he found. Like, here's a bunch of pictures of naked shop owners.
Yeah.
There's a whole calendar if you want to buy one.
Yeah, that's true actually.
Oh my god, it's Kevin.
And me. He was in it, wasn't he? Not me, Tim. It was kind of funny. Do you think it's because it's semi-issuesy, isn't it? But you're right, we don't want it to get too serious. It could go down like a naughty sites addiction route, maybe. And then he kind of doesn't need Sally anymore because he gets his kicks elsewhere.
Can you imagine if he's like, why the hell did I get married? I can get all these women for free on the internet.
Yeah, but then, I mean,
who's going to wash my pants?
This whole story has been really pushing the boundaries of what is acceptable to talk about and show on Coronation Street at 8 o'clock at night.
They couldn't even have pregnant women, could they? Like at a certain point on television?
No.
Because it inferred the existence of sexual relations. And now you've got a man Voggling.
I think this is like the raciest stuff that Coronation Street has ever had on Coronation Street, don't you think?
Yeah.
It feels like, are they allowed to talk about this on Coronation Street? But anyway, it's funny. I have enjoyed that this week as much as I'm
just really like, week. Where is this going? Yeah. I mean, I know.
Like, this is a story that I would have expected would have finished about 3 or 4 months ago. But I'm not complaining that it's still going. It's one of these one that kind of pops in it pops in for a week, then it disappears for a month, and it's still kind of, you get some kind of comedy out of it, and you go, oh, that was good, and moving on.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm saying, I don't know where this is going, because he says, when Sally comes home, I've got an idea about how I can get myself in the mood.
Yeah, and I think he's
yes.
I know. I think his having a look at naughty sites before taking Sally to bed.
Yes, I know. Yeah. I'm not
Sorry.
thick. I watched the same thing you did. What I'm saying is that there can't be a scene where he's there with a laptop in the dark, his face illuminated by thousands of digitised boobies that we can never see before, the watershed, and then he suddenly goes, his laptop rises into the air, and then he rushes upstairs.
They could.
We can't have that.
I don't know. I don't know what they can have. Maybe.
I'm sorry, Michael, but I'm glad your great aunt is dead. Because she would not appreciate this at all. We get a letter.
She wouldn't like this. She wouldn't like it at all. Can I just say before we move on, Tim, somebody needs to teach you about private tabs, because I think anybody...
Incognito mode.
Incognito mode is a thing, and I think if anyone were to go on your laptop, and because apparently nobody in Weatherfield has passwords on their laptops,
for goodness sake, no.
Somebody's going to go on there, find out, type in, what did he end up going to? Naughtyvideos.com. Somebody trying to go on to find, I don't know, National Geographic. They type in NA and it's like, what the hell is this?
I mean, Tim seems so innocent to me that he might have been able to get off with just National Geographic. That's what they used to do in the old days.
Videos of animals doing it.
Put on that David Attenborough.
Yeah. They're saying copulating for.
Watch out, Tim. Don't watch the one about seahorses. You're going to get very worried.
Right, Joe, it's over to you now. Electrocute Ed.
Yes, on Wednesday.
And slash Tall Street.
Michael and Aggie are fed up with all the scaffolding outside number 1 and tell Ed to get up in there and fix the roof himself.
We also got a little line which is a bit TMI for Michael, who we find out does lots of manscaping, apparently.
Why did that come up?
I don't know. They just wanted to give poor Ryan Russell something to say. That
Was he like, I can't walk on the cobbles because it chafes my bits where I've been manscaping?
Something. I don't remember what he said.
Aggie asks Steve about the roof in the Rovers, and within seconds, Ed and Steve are squaring up to each other, calling each other numpties. And then Aggie says, look, listen, you idiots, Ed's going to fix the roof, and that is the end of that. Then Ronnie comes in, and he's like, Ed, I've got a great idea for you. And there's a pub that I think that they want to pull down.
Yeah, that's right.
He wants to pull the pub down and build a new development, and he wants Ed to do all the work, and he'll lead the development and put money in and stuff.
He's funding it, yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to live here too. And Ed's tempted, but they don't have any money. Like, he can't put any capital in. And so I think he's like, well, you just build it, and then, you get a stake, because you're not going to get paid for it. And they're getting all excited, and they're talking about, what should we do with the garden? Should it be individual or communal?
Oh yeah, Paul's like really for a communal garden, isn't he? He's like, I wouldn't want that.
I mean, it depends on who it's communal with. It's all very well and good until you actually meet the people that you're going to be living next door to, and you realise that actually fences are brilliant.
Yeah, I don't get who would choose to share a garden with their neighbours. Really? Do people like that?
If you had the choice, I wouldn't.
No.
Aggie comes in and
But
says...
they do literally have the choice of whether to build it or not, so I would choose the one that people might want to buy more. And Paul is being made out to be some kind of architectural genius by suggesting we don't put fences separating them. It's weird. I don't know, maybe there are people out there that
Paul,
like it, but not me.
Then should we put a giant crystal in the back garden, should we, Paul? You hippie. Aggie comes in and she does not seem very enamoured with the project, and especially because Ronnie's involved. Then on Friday, Debbie is trying to persuade Ed to inspect her cracks at the hotel. Michael, you cannot ever look down on Coronation Street for its silly...
I hold Coronation Street to much higher standards than I hold myself.
Aggie says he can't because he's busy with the roof.
Once this podcast's been going 60 years, then I'm totally
scrape the bottom of the barrel. Aggie spends the whole week moaning at Ed for doing work and saying he's got to do the roof. Just leave him to it. Anyway, Ronnie drives up with his van, and Debbie's told him that he's got to do the hotel, and then Paul finds out that he's supposed to be working on the roof of number 1, and it's mates rate, so he goes off with Ronnie to do some actual proper work, and then Ed gets fed up with Steve, so he follows as well. They all go to the hotel. This was a lot of unnecessary scenes to get 3 builders, 2 builders and a project manager, to a building site. I don't need to hear your motivations for why you want to go to work. They arrive at the hotel, and Ed's like, I don't know if I want to do this new development. And Debbie comes in and says,
Here's a gamble, I don't like gambling, I'm an addict.
I might get addicted to building housing developments.
Do they have support groups for that?
Imagine him in the middle of that going, got to get the lintels in. Leave me alone, Aggie, I've got to do the double glazing. No, Ed, no, we don't need another patio. What are you doing? Debbie gives them this jobs list, and Aggie's phoning Ed. He doesn't answer. They all go into the bedroom together to fix the radiator, because apparently he's also a plumber. And he touches it, not so good of a plumber because he gets electrocuted. Flies through the air, lands on the bed, bounces off the bed, onto the floor, ends up in hospital.
Yeah.
Aggie gets home. For some reason, Aggie's not in that hospital, in the hotel electrocution department.
Yeah.
She gets home, she finds out from Steve that Ed has left him. So Ronnie then phones up and says... he's in hospital. She goes to the hospital. Paul says he got electrocuted by a radiator. Very unusual. So she goes off to find him. Debbie arrives, and they're all at the Ronnie tells her about the electrics got shot, and she's like, oh my god, you know what, I've just realised I haven't had any certificates done. I've owned this place for 1.5 years and I haven't done anything.
Yeah, because it was Ray that was in charge of all that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oops. So Aggie attends to Ed, and Debbie comes to see him in his bed. You know, he's lying in a hospital bed, and Aggie attacks her and says, You're terrible. Why did you hook your electrics up to your radiators? It doesn't seem to make any sense. And Debbie says, I'm not going to apologise. I don't know. She just talks on.
Yeah,
and
Aggie says to her, "You've not even said anything. Sorry.
You haven't even said
and
sorry."
And like, "Oh, we don't know what we're allowed to say at the moment, because if I say sorry, then that means that it was my fault, and you're going to get a load of money out of me."
Yeah. So she's fuming.
Yeah, but this is good. So we've got a Debbie storyline, everybody. I mean, I assume this is carrying on. And they're going to be having a go at Debbie. I'm glad that the tile story kind of dropped off a little bit, because I can't be doing with that.
My God,
Steve being a bloody idiot.
This makes me anxious. We're going to have a whole load of scenes on Monday with Steve standing around going, oh, who's going to do my roof now?
I just want that storyline to quietly finish and Steve finds somebody else to fix his tiled roof, and let's concentrate on the Baileys and Debbie, because Debbie is well overdue a story.
Exactly. Nobody's paying me to say this, but check a trade. Go on, Voggle it, check a trade. Go on there, put roofing in, and then you'll get people phoning you up going, I want to do your roof.
Yeah, when we had to add our key problem a couple of weeks
ago.
We
do everything on Check a Trade.
Yeah, we got someone around within
the hour.
We get somebody
to fix the decking, Check a Trade. Somebody come and kill the wasps, check a Trade. Our window won't open, Check a Trade.
Yeah.
We need a new roof, Check a Trade.
I can't do it.
We need the shelves being put up, Check a Trade.
Yeah.
Then there's me.
I literally can't do anything.
Can't be bothered to cook, Deliveroo. I'm hungry. Just eat.
So, what do you think about this story development with the hotel, Gemma? Interested?
I would just be paranoid. Like, it seems as though everything that you touch in the hotel could electrocute you.
Mm.
I think she needs to get someone in, probably.
Considering that every other event in Weatherfield takes place in that hotel, no wonder she's worried.
I know, it makes me wonder what else is electrocuted. You know, are you going to go round in the bistro, sit down on a chair and is it an electric chair?
Yeah, maybe. And what else? She owns the hairdressers, doesn't she, at the moment?
I'll tell you what, how much she owns.
Scissors.
How much she owns around this place. I'm surprised that she doesn't own the love nest that Kelly's been thrown into.
She probably saved Spider from coming a cropper last week, didn't she? Stopping him going into the brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the only slight concern I have about this story is that Debbie might be painted as the villain of the piece. But she's always been a little bit morally dubious, hasn't she?
I love that, though. It's just like... She reminds me a bit...
She's such a fabulous character.
Of Auntie Pam.
Yeah.
Back in the day, where she's like ducker and a diver.
Dodgy.
Like, I've got a good heart, but at the end of the day, if I can sell you a yesterday's donut and say it's today's donut, and you like it nonetheless, who cares? Who loses? No one.
Yeah. I hope that she doesn't get taken to the cleaners completely, but I'm glad that we get to see more Sue Devaney on our screen.
Is she going to take a trip to the prison and confront Ray?
Nah.
Ray, where's the bloody
Why didn't you set me up a list of reminders of things to do when I took over your business?
I didn't know you had to do. This makes me anxious. I hate things like this. I'm like going, do I have to have an electric certificate?
Oh, I know. Well, we had all this stuff when we moved house last year, didn't we? And we were trying to get the previous owners to send us the electric certificates. And we think we got
a certificate for putting
this
mirror up.
Now we've been there for nearly a year. I'm thinking, do we need to get the boiler checked and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, we do.
I
know about that.
Oh, good, thank goodness for that. Right, Wendy House storyline. This has been disappeared into nowhere for the last couple of weeks, hasn't it? But basically all that happens in tonight's episode is Abby's doing a bit of a snoop on Wendy's laptop because she didn't know how to put a password on it, despite the fact that, yes, she is a professional and there's probably some quite sensitive and confidential information on there. Wendy Crozier hasn't heard of GDPR. Anyway, Abby finds the document about her.
I wouldn't put a password on sensitive information.
It's the same as flipping Phill the other week, wasn't it? When Hope found his story about John Stape. Nobody learns a lesson. Don't they teach e-safety in Weatherfield schools? Tim doesn't know how to put how to use incognito mode on his laptop when he's looking at naughty websites. These guys don't know how to. They're flipping useless, I tell you. Anyway,
it's not exciting if you tried to break in and it's password protected.
They could at least make a password that's easily guessable in 3 guesses, like they used to. So anyway, Wendy comes back home and finds Abby having a snoop on her computer, and she's pretty mad about it.
Well, she literally goes out the door and comes back in. And
Oh,
Abby's
I just forgot.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Got
Should have
me.
waited till you heard the car pull away from the drive, Abby. Sorry, it's your own fault. So, anyway, Wendy's pretty mad and Abby doesn't care. She says, I thought that I was making progress, but your report says that I'm a complete waste of space. And then Wendy shows her, oh no, I haven't. Look, here's some lovely things I've said about you in the report. And this is when she kind of teaches us all about the wonders of Control plus F to be find. That felt a little bit like, you know...
I was just like, what are we learning here?
Why are you teaching us keyboard shortcuts?
I'll tell you what it was. It's because Abby was saying to Wendy earlier, oh, Wendy, I'd love to make cheese on toast. You get cheese and you put mustard on it, and then you put cheese on the top, and then you put it on bread. And she's like, yes, I know. And then later on when he's like, look here, if you want to find something in a document, you press Control F.
I know.
See how that's patronising and irritating? Because then he tells you something you know. Did you also know if you want to watch television, you have to push the on button on the television? What else do you want me to teach you? How to put your socks on? Do you know, here's a tip, put your socks on before your shoes, you moron.
Do you like a good keyboard shortcut? Do you use them?
Yes.
I like them. What's your favourite?
I don't know what they are without doing them, but the one where I get a PDF and I can zoom in and out of it.
Oh, nice.
Because I need that for my work.
I've basically got Control and Z, Control and X, Control and C, Control and A are quite good. I also quite like a good Control...
This is boring.
Control, Alt and E to give you an accent, an E with an accent over the top. Yeah.
That's what I need for my job. I need to write... The two words I need accents for are Pokemon and cafe.
Yeah.
Anyway. AKA cat cafe.
So,
maid cafe. Cosplay cafe.
Wendy says, you're great, Abby. Look at all the progress you've been making. I've used the word brave a million times in this document. So what you can do now is go back to Coronation Street with Kevin and Alfie, and that's the end of that.
And then she says, I'm going to retire after this. And then
she's going to
Abby's like, don't retire, you're brilliant. And she's like, I'm not retiring because I think you're the pinnacle of my career. I'm retiring because I'm bloody fed up with random women living in my house.
I was in this show in the 80s.
I'm fed up with women half my age living in my house telling me how to make cheese on toast. I've been round the block a few times. I know how to do it.
Did this story feel like a massive missed opportunity to you? I know this is just
because they could have made Welsh Rabbit properly.
We've literally seen nothing of Abby's attempts to show what a good mother she is. It's because at the beginning of the story, you know, all she had to do was sing "Hush, Little Baby" or whatever.
Shut your mouth, baby.
And then it's like, well done,
that.
Abby. You should look after the baby. It's not evil Toya that should have her. It's you. So we don't need to see all the progress you're making along with Wendy. We'll just assume that you've been wonderful for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
I did feel like there was there seemed to be lots of things where she's like, I'm going to go and change the baby's nappy. And Minnie's like, yes, that's right. That's what you do.
But it just felt like a little bit like they were saying it because they felt they have to. I wanted to see Abby change. We'd seen her a little bit, but
I don't want to see anybody change in a nappy.
Nothing when she was living in this house. Like, I feel exactly the same way as Abby about Abby being a mother as I did 3 weeks ago.
That's
so if I was
true.
on the side of
yeah.
I don't think she should have the baby, I'm still going to feel that. And having one scene where Wendy says, no, you are great, look, I've written it in a report, that's not going to change my mind, sorry.
Can I also just say, using the word brave to describe somebody just makes me feel like, what's that got to do with kids? Like, okay, if she was going on a quest to take the baby to throw it into Mount Doom, then I would think bravery is probably quite a good trait to have, you know, fight off the wolves and the orcs and whatever.
Yeah, but I wouldn't let her look after the baby for good if that's what she wanted to do with them. I get what you mean.
Using the word brave to describe somebody who's good at looking after kids, you know, if you go, like, you're trying to interview for babysitters. What qualities can you bring?
Brave.
I'm brave. What do you think is going to happen to this baby? We're going to a restaurant. Are you going to be all right to just stop the baby from dying for 3 hours?
They are in a soap, Gemma. There's baby snatchers everywhere. And they eat batteries and they don't always get vaccinations done.
I think
often mums have got postnatal depression.
Yeah, that's true. I think I've just been conditioned by far too many reality TV shows where people cry about stuff to try to get through to the next round. But whenever I hear the word brave, I just think, oh, God. Oh, you got a life story, do you? Oh, something bad happened and you were sad about it, but now you're fine.
when's the Wendy and Ken reunion gonna happen? I'm assuming she can't. This is like what, her third episode that she's been in since the comeback. Surely
What's
this
the
isn't
point of it?
This
Yeah.
has been even, because if it is, that's more of a damn squib than even Stephen Reed coming back. Get on with it, Wendy. You've been in the show. You've been back for what, 4 weeks now, and you've done sod all, and you haven't had a scene with Ken. There's only so much that we can be strung along before we lose interest. Make it happen next week, please.
I just think there was a bit of a missed opportunity here for Wendy flying through the house to get Abby off her laptop because she thought she was going on naughtyvideos101.com.
Yeah. Well, she's been away from Kevin for all this time, hasn't she?
She's like, don't go on my websites. Don't look at that erotic short story I was writing about me and Ken Barlow. I don't even know him.
I think that Wendy Flaming Crazy has got her own naughty website.
I reckon so.
She seems like the sort.
What do you reckon it's called? What is she? She's the headmistress, didn't she?
No, you're thinking of Sue Jeffers.
Oh, sorry.
She used to work
They're
for
all
the
merged
paper.
into one big sexy lady.
What did she call them? Like, flaminghotties.com or something like that.
Just Wendy Flaming Crazy, it would probably. XXX.
Yeah. Is it my turn now? Am I talking about
You do.
Sean?
I'm not even...
Dylan's coming to stay later, apparently. And you was at the beginning of the episode saying, oh yeah, Sean's going to go and see Dylan, but we won't actually go and see him on screen.
I didn't.
You did. You said you were expecting to see... You said, oh, they're going to go meet up off screen.
No, I didn't.
I thought you did.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Because there was a bit where Sean and Eileen are talking, and he says, I've got stuff to do today. I've got to go pick up Dylan. And then Eileen says, I'll do it. And then I said, Sean's not going to let you do it. He wants to be in a scene with Dylan.
Oh, fine. Okay.
Maybe that's what
maybe I misheard you. Anyway, so Sean's quite excited, but also nervous because I don't know how Dylan's going to get on with Frank. And Frank kind of is trying to make himself scarce throughout the episode, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's like,
he
I've got to go and do
kid.
some shopping. So there's something suspicious going on there.
I don't think that's suspicious at all.
No, that's true,
Oh,
actually.
what, your teenage son is coming?
I'm
sorry, I've got
suspicious.
stuff to do.
I'm suspicious of why Dylan's on his summer holidays already when we don't break up until next week for the summer. If he gets a 7-week summer holiday and we all get 6, I'll be right miffed off. Anyway, Dylan shows up in the cafe and he just kind of just wander in on his own or something. I don't know.
Just mooches in.
And he happens to bump into George, but thinks, misunderstanding. He thinks that he's going out with Sean and he thinks it's really cool that his dad's going out with an undertaker for some reason. Anyway, Sean comes in and soon puts him right. But, oh no, disaster. Frank's booked a meal for them all at the bistro or somewhere or other later, but Eileen's cooking dinner. Oh no, what should we do? And he's also embarrassed. And then he says, oh, don't worry, I'll pull out of the meal with Eileen. Dylan coming home with you is a real family occasion. I don't need to be there for that.
Dylan coming home with you is a family occasion, so you need your landlord and her boyfriend to
Yes, not your actual
celebrate
boyfriend.
together.
So that's why it's suspicious. And anyway, they just come talk about it at the end of the episode about why he didn't turn up, and that was it really.
And they have a discussion about the culinary name of the dish that Eileen cooked for them.
Cottage pie, Cumberland pie, shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
And then Dylan asking about mince pies, which is like,
He
that was
goes,
a bit of a swing
he
and a
said,
miss, right?
there was a few bits in there where he was really thick. Like, what kind of meat's in a mince pie?
Have you ever eaten
Tell you
one?
what, Dylan, I know I said you could finish school early, but now I'm thinking that you need to be in school as much as possible.
Yeah, they've got these great post-COVID tutoring programs, Dylan. I think
we need to catch you up.
No, I was quite happy to see Dylan again. There's something gone funny with that character over the past few years, wasn't it? Because he came in 2020 and then COVID happened, or maybe late 19, and then he just disappeared off. And it feels like that the story that we're about to have for Dylan
like 2 years
is
old.
2 years old. Yeah, so I'm glad to see him, and I think he seems like a decent actor as well. So I'm up for a Dylan story. But what is the real reason that Frank doesn't want to hang around him?
Because kids are lame.
Is that all it is? He thinks he won't be able to help himself.
I don't think it's suspicious.
I'm going to have to bully you.
It's like, you little drip.
I just see a kid and I want to bully them.
Something makes me want to push them in canals.
Because it wasn't a couple of years ago, literally now, there was a scene where Sean was on the phone to Dylan and Dylan was saying, I'm getting bullied because my dad's gay.
Yeah, but Michael, I don't think Frank's going to bully Dylan because his dad's gay. I think that's one of the major draws.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be linked. Or
I just don't think it's suspicious. I know that Coronation Street is where our suspicion is piqued here by this, but I think if I was Frank, I would also, you know, son's first night being reunited with his dad after not seeing him for a while. I don't think I'd intrude either. It's not necessarily the best time to.
Me. Oh, you know, if Sean wanted him there, why didn't he go along?
Yeah, but Sean's a bit blinded sometimes, and I don't think that he really gets. I don't actually care.
Don't care yet. I might care next week because I do like that little family. I'm interested in the shenanigans they get up to, but I need more than about 3 scenes in a week to really get invested. So maybe next week.
Speed dial. On Monday, Zidane hasn't told Yasmin that Stu was drunk, and he's grateful about this, but he tells him he needs to come clean because he feels guilty. So he tells Yasmin what happened and takes full responsibility for his actions. She forgives him and says, "Thank you for telling me. Just don't become an alcoholic," because that's a really boring storyline. We've had so many of those. And then Yasmin chats to Zidane about it later and says, "Stu's a good man."
This storyline.
If you want any more news about that, let me know. I can elaborate more.
What is going on? Is it because like they know that the Coronation Street viewers aren't really into the storyline, but they've got a story that they're going to tell, and by gum they're going to get to the end of this story, but they're just going to drip feed it to us like 3 scenes once a month, and eventually they'll get to whatever it is that they're working towards. I don't know.
When are they going to have?
What's the point of this?
When are we going to get to see Halal Northwest again?
Never.
What's the point of that?
It's leading to Yasmin and Stu hooking up, isn't it? Seemingly.
Why was he drunk? Why did he get drunk? I know, but no, there must be a trigger.
Well, it was
mind you, we said the same thing about the cough.
Yeah. Well, it's all the stuff thinking about his daughter, isn't it? And, you know, you can't contact her anymore.
But so that's going to come up then, isn't it? This is just like a
I just
prelude.
want them to get on with it. I mean, every time they have a scene in Speed Dial, I'm like, okay. And it's... I do like Yasmin, and I do like Stu. Ali is a bit of a downer, a bit of a buzzkill. Zidane is, majorly. But I can't get really interested in anything that's happening. But I would quite like to see some nice romantic scenes with Stu and Yasmin. So just hurry up and get to them, really, Coronation Street.
Yasmin, would you like to share a bag of rice with me?
Okay, right, Gemma. That is it for this week's Coronation Street. Bit of a dud week. Let's do character of the weeks first. Are you leaning towards anybody here? Phill, character of the week.
I love him.
Sad Phill.
Happy Phill. I want him to be happy. I want happiness. Tell you what, Fiz is not good enough for him.
Oh, I'm gonna give my character of the week to David had his moments, but I'm gonna go. Oh god, it's really difficult this week.
What about Ed? Because he had to do a stunt.
Nah.
He bounced off the bed.
No, Ed on a bed. It might be Evelyn.
Calm down, Nurse Michael.
It might be Evelyn just because I can't really think of anyone else that really stood out to me, and she's always good for a laugh, and she was in a decent number of scenes. Nobody from the Gary Maria story.
What about
Tim
Jimmy?
was kind of funny. Not Jimmy. Yeah. I'm going to give it to Tim this week. Tim's my character of the week because he didn't have any dud scenes. So, there we go. Tim, well done. You got my character of the week. Score. Now, I think I've got a score in mind.
4.5.
You're not giving it 4.5. I think I've got a score in mind, so I'm definitely going to let you go first. What are you scoring it for this week?
I'm going to give it 3 moonwalking bears in a clown costume.
Nice. I'm giving it 2.5 Manscaped Michaels out of 5. And so, fairly low week. Let's see a little bit more. I was promised wall-to-wall Toya this year, and it feels like since the crash, we've barely seen any of her. She's going through crisis and drama. Why aren't we seeing this? And I know people have been getting a little bit fed up with her. Maybe we'll see more of her now that the Abbey story's back, but come on. And Spider, what's going on with him? He's not been in it for nearly 2 weeks now. I was so excited to see old Jeffrey back, and he's just hiding him away in jail or something. Rubbish.
Whiner.
Okay, that is it for this week's Street Talk.